Hello and welcome to the show today. I'm really glad you could join us. So today we're talking about one of the most important scalable ways that you can grow your business, which is digital marketing. We're talking about a really unique way to do it, especially for all of you agencies out there, because this is a way that you can have the work done for you where nobody even knows that you're not the one doing it. Okay. So there's a lot of cool things that we're going to dive into today, but today you are going to understand some of the biggest and best insights to be able to get the best returns on digital marketing and do it for your customers without them knowing that you're not even the one doing it. So with us today is Ken Knorr. Now he's the CEO and founder of the white label digital marketing company, That Company. Yes, the company name is literally That Company. For over a decade, he has built a company that supports marketing firms in providing high quality SEO, pay-per-click, social media, and reputation management services all under their respective brands. With over 400 plus agency partners, That Company has become the most widely trusted name in white label services that provides a true end-to-end scalable white label solution. Now, Ken is a leader who believes that 1+1 = 3. Through his consensus, through debate leadership style, he believes the best solutions are created with his team, not just by himself. Ken, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, thanks for having me, Ty.
Well, before we got jumped in, you said, hey, you know what white label is in digital marketing? I'm like, nah, I don't. I know what white label is. Like, we offer a white label service, but I've never heard of it with digital marketing before.
Right.
So I think a lot of our listeners and viewers are the same way. So tell us a little bit more about what you do in the space of digital marketing in regards to white label.
So white label is really simple. If you think about it in a sense of a product, it's a company that manufactures a product for you, and they stick a white label on it, which means you get to put your label on their product. There's a little difference between that and private label, but we won't get into that nuance. But white label is where we take our services, our digital marketing services, and you offer, or an agency offers them to their clients, and they put their label on it. We protect that label a lot in the sense that we answer the phone as the agencies we work with. We send out reports underneath their brand. We set up a project management system so they can communicate with their customers, all underneath their brand. All of that is kind of just provided in what we do. So as you said, we offer a litany of different services from social media, SEO, pay-per-click, all those things that I think are really important. We didn't start out as a white label company. It was kind of an accident how we got there, Ty. We started out being a direct. That's what we did. We offered direct digital marketing services, and the first agency we were dominating in the pay-per-click management space, and you can find us by doing searches for all of that organically. And an agency out of New York City called us in 2008 and said, "We're an SEO firm, but we don't do pay-per-click, and we wonder if you could work a special deal with us to do pay-per-click for our clients." And that was kind of the beginning. 70 clients later with them, we said this really works. In 2015, we decided to pivot completely and nothing but white label. And that was only 5 years ago. And we built out an incredible list of agency partners that we do that for. But we're probably one of the most least known companies in the digital marketing space because we hide behind all of our great partners. I mean, we operate under their brands. So that's what white label is.
So do you still do direct digital
We
marketing?
do. We do. Well, and so that's a interesting thing. So we do direct digital marketing. We don't go out hunting it. So we don't intentionally try to rank for it. We don't do any advertising in it. It's kind of word of mouth. If somebody knows about us and wants to contact us, we will work directly with them. That said, we protect our partner relationships, and it is the most important. 95% of our business is formed through our agency partners. So if you've already contacted an agency partner, and we actually provide sales support for them too. That's the beautiful thing about one of our white label things is that you as an agency don't even have to have a great sales team. You may do traditional marketing, television, radio, print, that kind of thing. But if you have a digital opportunity, our sales team operating under your brand will help you close that business. So if we've already contacted or you've already talked to us through one of our partners, we'll quietly, we won't tell you why, but we'll just quietly say we can't. And in fact, we will probably recommend somebody that you should go talk to. And probably be our partner.
So if a company like Credit Suite, if we want, we handle our Facebook and Google ads ourselves, right? So let's
Sure,
say we want to work with an agency to do it. You could actually help manage our Facebook ads, our YouTube
sure,
ads, pay per click.
absolutely,
You could do all that for us. But if I'm a
absolutely.
digital marketing agency, if I do that for customers, then you can also do that for my customers representing me. So it looks like I'm the one delivering the service, but the reality is you guys are doing all the work. So you can work in either one of those verticals, basically.
Absolutely. Well, and Ty, there's another thing. So let's say that we're in a non-competitive business space. We're both looking, you and I. This is interesting to be forming a business relationship here in a second, live on the air. Um, if you're in a non-competitive but complementary space to us, we also have programs which we call our Premier Partner programs, where if you refer business to us, we will still have a financial relationship with you, acknowledging the book of business that you build, although we're doing under our brand. So we wouldn't be white labeling under your brand, but yes, so we could work with you directly. We could work with you as a premier partner, basically like an affiliate, or we could work with you as an agency, which is our biggest line of business. We work with agencies and primarily. So yeah, all three ways that we can find a way to work together.
It's pretty cool. Well, what
Yeah.
kind of services do you guys provide?
Okay. So we started out our flagship product when we began really was pay per click. So pay per click was so often misunderstood. To hear me say pay per click like I'm talking about a thing that hooks paper together. But pay per click is a generalized term for paid advertising online. So whether that be Google Ads or what is referred to today as Search Alliance, which is Bing and Yahoo together, or online paid ads in social media, all of that advertising typically today is sold on a per click basis. So we manage those campaigns for clients, and that the client range is all over the place, from the smallest client that might spend $1,000 or $2,000 a month in advertising expenditure to our largest client is $32,000 a day. So there's a big gamut there. But pay per click is one of our core services. That's kind of where we began. But we began in that service, and we dominated in that space where I told you about that story where we met that agency out of New York City, because we do our own in-house SEO really well. So search engine optimization is another service, and we started offering that direct, and then started moving that through the white label space. So just an example of our own SEO capabilities. If you do a search for white label, just plain old white label, you will find that we rank in the number one spot or the number two spot, depending on the day, if I'm beating Wikipedia or not, for a very broad and big term. Even though that term has a lot to do with other things besides digital marketing, we dominate in that space. So search engine optimization is another thing we do that. That is obviously talking about creating rankings in the search engines for organic positions, stuff you're not paying for, but by building the right kind of content, by building the right kind of authority, we can help our clients' sites rank for terms. That kind of gets broken into two parts. There's local SEO, where we're trying to help a company whose my main mission is to do business in their geography. And then there's national SEO, where they're trying to win keywords that are on a national scale. And then, of course, you kind of mentioned, talk about Facebook, but social media marketing and social media management across the entire spectrum. So Facebook, Twitter, Instagram are probably the three biggest platforms that we operate in. And whether that be LinkedIn in there, of course, whether that be organic work where we're creating content and helping you build an organic following, or a combination there, or combining that with paid advertising, if you're doing pay-per-click advertising in that space. We also then touch on a couple of other services you mentioned, reputation management, which is kind of a subset of SEO. If a company, if you do a search on your brand name and there's a negative result out there, or some negative results about your company, you receive some negative PR, we can help reduce the impact of that. I can't make it go away, but I can push it below the fold or push it on a page too. We have to work with the right companies for that. We don't just open that. With great power comes great responsibility. And so we won't work with somebody or a company that's trying to deceive people. But if it's situation where, we need to balance what's heard about the positive along with the negative, and we can help that occur. And then other subset services that kind of go along with it all, like email campaign management. So manage your email lists and things like that, and getting your regular emails and that kind of stuff out. So general full suite.
So Ken, on the social side, you would work with Facebook ads as well as Google and pay-per-click, right?
Yeah, and I got to tell you what, Facebook ads was a simpler platform. So was Google. One day it's getting more and more and more complex. So each one of those disciplines, we have trained people, and a lot of times, I think when you work with a really small firm, you find a generalist, somebody who can kind of do a little bit of everything. But it's becoming so specialized that I've got guys that do nothing but Facebook paid advertising, and that's what they do. They eat, breathe, sleep Facebook advertising, because it's become so complex, and the various different audience building and that type of stuff to be effective in that, you really have to. Yes, absolutely.
So what do you think brands should be using Facebook, Google advertising now?
Yeah, so that's a really certainly you should have an online game of some sort. Okay, the question is, what is the right platform for you as a company and what you're trying to accomplish? So we see. Let me just I'll pull Facebook out for a minute and just kind of talk about it alone. Facebook advertising is a lot like television advertising of old, right? Or television advertising of today. When you're running an ad in Facebook, you're putting that ad in front of a demographic. That's really what you're doing. You're building an audience, and you're building that audience, a demographic audience, based on things you think would fit your customer's profile. But that doesn't mean they actually need what you are offering right now. So I'll just give you an example, Ty. When's the last time you bought a car?
Last year.
Last year. When's the next time you're going to buy a car?
Next year.
Next year. So you're an every 2-year guy.
I'm actually more of an every year kind of guy.
So you're an every year kind of guy. You're skipping a year because you didn't have much driving in COVID.
COVID messed me up.
No, I'm with you. But the average person, you and I are I'm an every year and a half guy. Depends on the car. I'm on my third Corvette, so
we're the same. I have an obsession with fast cars.
There you go. So I'm waiting. I don't want the 2020 C8 yet. I gotta get it in another year. It's gotta get past that first year.
I'm with you.
So anyway, but the average person is more like 3 to 5 years. Okay. And so let me ask you this: how long? I'll give you another example. How long have you been with the current bank that you're with?
Since I bought the car, so 8-9 months, I guess.
No, I mean your personal, like your checking.
Oh, my bank. Oh, geez.
Yeah, your bank.
I don't even know. I've been with them for 8 years. Yeah, a long time.
Why do banks advertise?
That's a good question.
Because you go to a bank and you stay there because they want to stay top of mind when you are ready to make the decision, right? Why do car brands advertise? You're in you buy a car once a year. It's not every month. Most people don't buy it, but maybe every 3 or 5 years. They're not buying it every year. It's because we need to stay front of mind on them. So, and when we think about where we see those advertisements on television and whatnot, they're going up against, shows that meet a demographic, right? So truck ads that run along football shows or football against a demographic, mostly male, that, might buy a truck versus where would we show the ads for the minivan is probably going to be along some daytime TV or evening dramas that might appeal more to the female, right? And the demographic of somebody who has a family. The same thing you're doing in Facebook, your demographic advertising, right? That is a different type of advertising than search-based advertising. See, search-based advertising in Google is based on intent. Now you're going to actually type in a term. You're going to say, I want to buy or you're typing in Chevrolet, truck. Well, the ads that come up there are directly responsive to something you are looking for. The searcher has self-indicated they're in the market for whatever that keyword is they type. Facebook is not that way. Facebook is, I'm going to put an ad out there into a demographic audience that I think is likely to want to buy my product, but I'm not going to have that same kind of one-to-one relationship between the person online and my ad. And so they fit different, they fit different situations. So in Facebook, we see a lot of consumer products, a lot of consumer products. Why? Because the other thing that's going on in Facebook is everybody uses Facebook. That's kind of like the main social media platform out there. But the demographic out there and the usage levels are in the evening. It's used as recreation, almost like television. It's recreational. So we see consumer products that get there that can stand a chance at an impulse buy. How many times have you been out there and you see an ad for a T-shirt that matches your zodiac sign or something like that, or what have you? You know what I mean? Now, where we can play that a little different is when we start getting into remarketing. Remarketing is where we talk about those, we kind of call them stalker ads, the ads that follow you everywhere. You went on to Amazon, you looked at a pair of shoes, you didn't buy them, then everywhere you go, those shoes are in ads all around you, and Facebook included. Those remarketing ads can be incredibly powerful as kind of a second bite at the apple. So in remarketing, Facebook is almost ubiquitous. We could do that in the B2B space. So it could be somebody who's doing a search. How did I find out about that though? Is that they came to my website, they've seen my brand, and now I start following wherever they go so that I might get another brand head out of them in social media. But I might not use Facebook as the primary point for B2B, right? Is that the place that I'm going to try to find a banking customer? Maybe. Is that the place that I'm going to try to find, credit building like what you do? Maybe not. There might be a better place for me to find the CEO audience like LinkedIn, if I'm thinking social, or search is a really powerful one there. If a company is self-indicating that they're trying to do credit building, corporate credit building, that kind of thing, they do that kind of search. Yeah, I want to be in that search, right? So finding the right mix of digital platforms for a company is important. And then once you find it, you begin to test your messaging and you double down on the stuff that's working. I mean, that's really where you do. Wanamaker, that was a guy who had a set of stores up north, the Wanamaker stores up north. He had a great quote about advertising. He goes, I know that 50% of my advertising is working. I just don't know which, right? Well, in digital, we can tie that in a little bit more. We can start figuring out what is and isn't working and put the money down harder where we know it's getting returned.
So Ken, if I'm a company that's advertising or an agency, I
Yeah.
would assume that, working with you, you do, I don't know, millions of ad spend every month. So will I
Yep.
get better results? Can I expect to get better results, lower cost per lead
That's
by
a
using you?
great question. That's a great question. So my buying power in the pay-per-click side does not give me any preferential treatment. That's a misnomer. And my buying power, the way that we work with our agencies and the way we work with our direct clients is you're going to pay Google directly. Okay, you're just going to pay me the fee to manage it. But so my buying power is not in the equation there. That's not what's in the equation. What's in the equation is pure experience. As you mentioned, we handle millions of ad spend. I'm able to see and understand and stay on top of what the Google advertising trend is. Yeah, the thing is this. So let me ask you this: you love fast cars. You know how to change your car's oil?
No.
You
I
don't
mean,
know
I could
how.
figure it out, but my
You can
dad
figure
tried
it
to
out.
show me. I'm like, dude, there's places that do that. There's no reason.
There's places that do that. I know how it's done. I know that there's a oil pan underneath there. You take the plug out, you drain the oil. We need to change the filter. But you're right. There are places out there that do that, and they do it really well and really efficiently. They've got a pit that you can drive over. They don't have to crawl under the car. They stand up underneath there and they drain the oil. Right. And not only are they draining the oil, or changing my oil, they're doing a 72-point inspection and they're looking at everything else, all of these other things, and they're trying to upsell me the filter. That cabin air filter that I never knew that I had, that never knew I needed to replace. But the same kind of thing here. So we're built to do what we do, which is digital marketing. And you as a company should be built to do what you do. You need to focus on your core be really good at what you do and let us be really good at what we do. If you're going to try to be good at what we do, you can spend a lot of money becoming an expert. And again, like I said to you earlier on, I've got specialists in each one of these spots, right? Each one of these disciplines, if I want to get the best results from it, I need to have a guy that's focused on that. So a guy to do search advertising, Google ads, Bing and Yahoo type ads, that's a specialization. And we break those specializations up. And so I put a specialist on it. If you're going to try to do the marketing for your company, which you can, and when you're small, you absolutely should be doing something. So do it yourself for sure. But you're going to be a generalist, and you're not going to be an expert at all angles of it. And so let us bring in the experts to do that piece of it. So when you work with us, depending on what the client is needing, they may be working with 3 or 4 different people on our team doing 3 or 4 different parts of their digital marketing, rather than just a single individual who's a generalist.
Do you work well?
Do I get better results? The answer is yes. There you go.
Do you work better in industries, or can you help in industries that are harder to advertise with? So for example, I have, I'm in the commercial credit world, right? And I come from the consumer credit world. So I know like all the gurus in that space, but they try to advertise on Facebook and they have a really hard time doing so because they don't meet Facebook's guidelines, blah, blah, blah. So can you help in those situations with people that are in industries where they're having a tough time getting their ads to actually stick on Facebook, actually get them to a point where they can get their ads done the right way, where they do stick, and then actually scale those campaigns?
Yeah. So there are certain industries that are more difficult than other industries, without a doubt. There are certain industries that are scrutinized more by the platforms than others. So Google, and I'll just talk about Google for a minute, Facebook, same thing. But Google is very, very focused on making sure, and it's because of a lot of disinformation that's out there. Google is very much focused on making it, if anything has to do with your money or your health, you're going to be in a scrutinized marketplace. So if I'm giving advice on how to make money or save money or investment or anything that's going to cost you, or if it's going to be health related, the scrutiny is way up. And it's because of disinformation out there. So imagine Google does not want a website, for instance, ranking that you say, and I'll use an extreme example here. I have a sore throat, and somebody in a blog or in a message board said you should drink gasoline for that. That obviously is the wrong answer, but Google doesn't want that kind of thing ranking. Facebook either. And so with that tight control that they're putting around that your health and your financial life, they have a lot more scrutiny on the type of ads that they'll allow, the type of things that they'll allow to be said on their platform, the promises that are made. And yes, that's again why I've got specialists that understand those rules and understand how to work inside those guidelines. That doesn't mean though that I can save everything. So we had just a great example. America is filled with entrepreneurs, man. It's amazing how many people are out here trying to make a buck and trying to make a living, and not doing it bad. I'm not trying to be a huckster or something bad. They're just trying to make a buck. So a lot of people had access to PPE. And they thought, man, I got access to this company that has a bunch of PPE. Let me get out on Google. Let me get out on Facebook. Let me sell PPE right now. I can make a buck. And they weren't trying to, rip people off like, the $20 bottles of hand sanitizer we saw there for a little bit. There were people out there certainly doing that. But because of that, because of people selling products that were not right or selling them for way gouging and that kind of thing, Google clamped down on your ability to sell PPE. And if you weren't selling PPE prior to COVID, they decided you're not going to be allowed to sell PPE now. So no matter what I do there with that guideline, sometimes I can't save you. Sometimes I can't help you overcome that. If you're in that environment or that situation, can't do it. So if your ads have been banned, let's say you've done some bad things, because you can make mistakes, not all the time intentional, but on Facebook, you can make mistakes. You can actually get your account banned for the things that you do or the promises you made and what have you. Sometimes we can clean that up. Sometimes, a lot of times it means that we're going to have to get a new credit card for you. Can't even use the same credit card. Your account's not been banned. You as an advertiser have been banned. So I kind of got to rework you and then have you follow the rules correctly the next time through. Sometimes we can run an appeal process. Very rare that we can pull that off. At Google, we can do it, but in Facebook, they offer practically no support. You can't call Facebook customer service. There's no such thing. There's no such thing as Facebook customer service. It doesn't exist. There's not a phone number you can find that will help you with that. Once you're Blueprint certified and you are doing Facebook advertising, and if you're doing enough of it, you'll get a rep from inside Facebook. So a lot of times we'll have a personal connection inside where we can ask a question or get support. But that is, so the long-winded answer is yes, sometimes we can actually help a client that is in a difficult space turn a banned account around, or an account that's been hampered down. A lot of times we just find that whoever was running their ads didn't really understand what they were doing, and they weren't getting the results. And it's just a matter of doing it right, getting the right audiences selected, building up the right demographics, and getting the ads to perform. So, does that answer your question, Tom?
Yeah, did a very good job. As we get ready to wrap up, Ken, where can everybody go to learn more about what you guys do and possibly learn more about what you guys can do for them?
Sure. Well, that's easy. Thatcompany.com, right? Just go search That Company or go to thatcompany.com. You'll find us. It's not a hard brand to remember because we're That Company. What do? We do that, right? It's That Company. So, and if you're interested in finding out more about me or talking with me, if you want to chat with me as a CEO, if I can provide anything for you, any advice or anything like that, you can look me up on Twitter at Ken Knorr. That's KENKNORR. And KenKnorr.CEO is where I kind of, you can also find all the ways to connect with me on social media. So love to help entrepreneurs, love talking to entrepreneurs. And if we can help your agency, or if we can help your company, visit thatcompany.com.
Had my dogs are going crazy because I'm working from the house today, like everybody in COVID.
That COVID real world podcast.
It's a new world order, man. So many different dogs are going. Yeah. So I love it. I've actually, in our interview today, I've got several people that I want to talk to you about when we wrap up that I like to refer over to you and send your way. So everybody looking, everybody watching, and excuse if you can hear my crazy dogs in the background. Go to thatcompany.com. So it's one thing to be working with a digital agency. It's another thing to be working with an actual agency that is the one that does all the work for the other agencies. And that's exactly what That Company does. So these guys literally handle millions of ad spend every single month and have the ability to really be able to get you best results, even if you're just getting started in the space, and then stay with you all the way till you scale to a really, really, really successful 7, 8, 9 plus figure business. So to learn more, go to thatcompany.com. That's thatcompany.com. Thanks everybody for tuning in. I hope you have a great day. Thanks everybody.